karma. It's a word that comes up quite a bit, right?
Definitely.
Especially when life throws us, a curveball. We might find ourselves thinking, is this some kind of karmic thing?
That payback idea, yeah.
Exactly. And you've probably heard the term thrown around, but maybe haven't had the chance to really dig into what it means, where it all comes from.
Well, that's what we're aiming for today.
Okay, yeah, we're doing a deep dive into karma, specifically through the lens of the Bhagavad Gita.
That's right. And we're drawing insights from a really interesting discussion with H.C. Chaitanya Charan.
Ah, yes, the ISKCON monk. They call him a fighter monk, which is quite something.
It really is. He travels the world sharing wisdom from the Gita, despite having polio since he was very young. Quite inspiring.
Absolutely. And for you listening, if you're looking for, quick but thorough understanding.
Those aha moments, maybe.
Exactly. Without getting totally bogged down in dense philosophy. That's the goal.
So we've looked at a source, a YouTube transcript actually, from Speaking Tree, featuring Chaitanya Charan.
Great. So let's jump in. According to the Gita, what exactly is karma? What did Krishna tell Arjuna?
Right, that's what the source discussion starts. And Chaitanya Charan makes it clear from the get-go. Karma is, it's a very important topic for understanding life, not just theory.
And it seems deeply personal for him, too. He shares that story about getting polio as a baby.
Yeah, just 1 year old. Apparently from a faulty vaccine improperly stored.
Which just sounds so incredibly unfair, doesn't it?
It does. And his mother's reaction was quite profound. A relative was expressing sorrow. And she said something like, "What is less on the level of the body, God sees on the level of intelligence."
Wow, that's a powerful perspective.
It had a huge impact on him, he says, even if unconsciously at first.
So he noticed as he grew up that while his body had limitations,
his mind didn't. He found he had this, knack for learning, understanding things quickly, articulating them, remembering them.
Which led him to this idea he describes as life is unfairly fair.
Unfairly fair, exactly. A deficit in one area, but like an advantage in another.
So how did this personal experience shape his view of karma? Because the common idea is just you suffer because you did bad things.
Right. And he realized early on it's an incomplete picture, according to the Gita anyway.
Okay, so it's not just about payback for bad deeds.
No. The Gita perspective is that past actions, this purva karma, it can lead to negative outcomes, yes, but also positive ones. It cuts both ways.
So good things happening could also be linked to past actions.
Absolutely. And this leads to a really key point. The results we see right now, they aren't always immediate. And they're not always directly proportional to the effort we're putting in now. Sometimes you give 100% effort.
And get like 10%.
Or the opposite. A small effort yields a huge, unexpected result.
He uses that cricket analogy, right? India winning the World Cup, and a player who didn't even play gets a medal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It highlights that disconnect we sometimes feel. Yeah. Like in a team project, you do the work, someone else gets the credit maybe.
So that's where this purva karma fits in. That past karma influences these seemingly delayed or disproportionate results.
Precisely. It's like an unseen factor. He even puts it as a kind of simple equation. Present karma plus past karma, result.
So the cause and effect isn't always right here, right now. It's a bigger picture.
A much bigger picture, unfolding over time, maybe even across different interactions. Someone reacts negatively to you for no apparent reason.
And it could be a delayed consequence from something else entirely.
It's possible, yeah. The effects ripple outwards.
Okay, this is fascinating. But if the results aren't always immediate or obvious, then what's the point of our actions now? Does it make them less important?
But that's where the Gita's message shifts, you see. It's not just about judgment. It's actually about encouragement.
Encouragement? How so?
The core idea is really empowering. Our actions matter, even if they don't seem to matter right away. Even if your current efforts aren't yielding the expected results, perhaps because of some past negative karma playing out, your positive actions now are still significant. They might be counteracting that past karma.
So don't get discouraged if you don't see immediate success, because your effort is still doing something underneath the surface.
Exactly. It's chipping away at potential negative influences or building positive momentum.
That's actually a really helpful perspective. So how do we take this understanding and, apply it to actually change things? He has this framework, right? ACT.
Yes, ACT. It stands for accept, commit, and transcend.
Okay. Accept. What does that involve?
It's about recognizing and, making peace with the things we genuinely cannot change. The battles lost long ago, as he puts it, using his own polio as an example.
Like Arjuna initially not wanting to fight in the Gita. He had to accept the situation first.
Precisely. Don't waste energy fighting the unchangeable. It's about shifting from, what if this hadn't happened?
Which keeps you stuck in the past.
To, okay, what is the situation now? And then what can I actually do within this reality? Which leads directly to the next step.
Commit.
Commit, yes.
Yes.
Commit to taking action where you do have influence, where you do have control. This is where that famous verse comes in. Karmaniya vaidikaraste mafaleshu kadachana.
You have the right to the action, but not necessarily to the fruits of the action.
Exactly. Focus on your duty, your effort. And the amazing thing is, even small positive actions done consistently, they start to diminish those negative mental states, that feeling of helplessness.
Just doing something positive helps shift your focus.
It really does. Focus on what you can do right now.
Okay, but this brings up that huge question, doesn't it? Destiny versus free will. If karma, past and present, is shaping things, how much freedom do we actually have?
The age-old debate. In Indian philosophy, you have these two streams of thought. Karmavad, everything comes from our actions.
And Daivavad, everything is predetermined. It's all destiny.
Right. But the understanding presented, especially drawing from the Gita, is more of a synthesis. It's not either.
So how do they work together?
The idea is often presented as karma, our actions, plus daiva, destiny, or factors beyond our control, plus kala, time, the duration needed, phala, the result.
Okay, can you give an example?
Sure. Think of a farmer. Planting the seeds, tending the field, that's their karma, their effort.
Right.
But they need the rain, which is somewhat beyond their control. That's like daiva, destiny. And they need time, kala, for the crops to actually grow. All three are needed for the result, the harvest.
That makes sense. Like wanting a child, the couple's actions are the karma, but conception can feel like destiny, and then you need the 9 months, the kala.
Exactly. And this helps understand Krishna telling Arjuna he's just an instrument. Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Meaning the outcome, the consequences for those who acted wrongly, like in the disrobing of Draupadi, was, in a sense, destined to happen. Arjuna was to be the means, the instrument for that justice or consequence to unfold.
But that doesn't mean Arjuna had no choice, or that everything is rigidly fixed.
No, not at all. Think about it like this.
Yeah.
Past karma might create a situation, maybe a predisposition to an illness, let's say. That's the stage set by Daiva, influenced by past karma.
Okay.
But your present karma, your choices about lifestyle, treatment, attitude that determines how you navigate that situation, the impact it has, your recovery perhaps.
So past karma sets the scene, present karma writes the script for how we act in that scene.
That's a great way to put it. Past karma determines situations, present karma determines the impact. And Chaitanya Charan Das's own life is a testament to this, his academic, his spiritual success, despite the physical limitations. That's free will, operating within destiny's constraints.
He uses that analogy of height and weight, too.
Yeah, height is largely destiny, right?
Yeah.
But weight, that's something we have significant free will over through our actions. Or think of Stephen Hawking, tremendous limitations. But look what he achieved through sheer will and intellect.
It seems like finding meaning, finding purpose, is really important in navigating all this. He talks about Artha.
Yes, and Artha here isn't just about, making money. It's deeper. It's about finding meaning, purpose in life.
And this evolves.
It does. From a baby needing its mother for everything, to an adult seeking paramartha, the ultimate spiritual meaning. And having that sense of purpose, it makes suffering more endurable.
Like Krishna telling Arjuna to focus on the purpose establishing Dharma, righteousness, rather than the pain of fighting family.
Exactly. Duryodhana's actions were destroying Dharma. The purpose was bigger than personal pain. The key insight Chaitanya Charan Das shares is, don't look for a pain-free or a problem-free life. Look for a purposeful life.
Because problems are inevitable, but purpose gives you strength to face them.
Precisely. Purpose makes the journey meaningful, even with the bumps along the road.
But finding that purpose, sometimes it feels like, what's my grand purpose? I just go to work, take care of family,
That's a very real feeling. And the Gita addresses this with the concept of lokasangraha.
Lokasangraha.
It means basically the maintenance and well-being of the world. The idea that everyone, literally everyone, has a role to play in this interconnected system.
Like, even small roles matter.
Absolutely. Think about our team putting this deep dive together. Writers, editors, sound engineers. Each role is vital for the final outcome. Dharma, in this sense, is about harmonious belonging.
Harmonious belonging. I like that.
It involves reciprocity, We take from society, from family, from the environment, so we also have a duty, a dharma, to contribute back. Like following traffic rules, it helps the whole system function.
So my purpose doesn't have to be changing the entire world. It can be found in asking, how can I make things a bit better right here?
Exactly. In your family, your community, your work, how can I contribute positively? This connects to Seva Bhava, an attitude of service, seeing yourself as an instrument for good.
He shared that example from the hospital, didn't he, about the patients?
Yes, the Bombay Bhakti Hospital. Patients with similar, very severe limitations. Some were constantly complaining, understandably perhaps, but others were cheerful, grateful.
Their inner focus, their sense of purpose, even in that state, made the difference.
It seemed to make a profound difference in their experience, yes.
So this positive attitude, this sense of purpose, does it connect to ideas like positive manifestation? Can we influence outcomes this way?
Well, positive thinking certainly plays a role. There's the common idea, see the glass half full.
Right.
But the Bhagavad Gita offers something perhaps deeper. It's about transcending the dualities altogether, happiness, sadness, success, failure, by connecting with something unchanging, the divine.
Like being on an unsinkable ship in the ocean. The waves, good and bad experiences, still come, but you're steady.
That's a great analogy. The focus shifts. He describes this journey where initially the world seems huge and overwhelming, and God feels small or distant.
Yeah, I can relate to that feeling sometimes.
But through spiritual practice, the perspective flips. The world, our personal world, becomes smaller, more manageable, because God becomes vast, omnipresent, the center of our lives. And that's where lasting peace and joy are found.
How does one achieve that shift?
Through remembrance. Mat Chitta Sarva Durgani, Krishna says. Fixing the consciousness on the divine helps you cross over all difficulties, the outcome. Both material peace, being okay with the world, and deep spiritual joy.
Let's talk about different types of action. Krishna talks about Sakam and Nishkam karma, attached action versus detached action.
Yes, Sakam is action done with a strong desire for and attachment to the results, which, let's be honest, is how most of us operate most of the time.
Definitely. We want that promotion. We want the project to succeed.
Nishkam karma is selfless action performed as a duty without being attached to the outcome.
But this is where it gets tricky, right? The expert mentioned that Harvard lecture anecdote.
Yes. A student asked, basically, if you're detached from the results, what's the motivation? Why bother acting at all?
It's a fair question. If I don't care about the result, why put in the effort?
The misunderstanding lies in confusing detachment from results with lack of goals or intention. Goals are necessary. They provide the direction, the motivation for present action.
Okay, so having a goal is okay, even essential.
Absolutely. Remember, karmanye vidkrastima phalashukadachana, it has 4 parts. 1, you have the right, the duty to act. 2, don't be attached to the fruits. 3, don't think you're the sole cause of the results. Remember, dayeva, kala. And 4, crucially, don't be attached to inaction either. Don't just give up.
So the goal motivates the doing, but we shouldn't be devastated if the outcome isn't exactly what we planned.
Precisely. Think of Arjuna. He had clear military strategies. He made a vow to kill Jayadratha. He had intentions, goals.
But the detachment was in accepting whatever the final outcome of the war might be while still fighting his best.
Exactly. Not being fixated, not letting the potential outcome paralyze you or destroy your peace. It's like that MS Tony quote, right? Focus on the process.
Focus on the process, not the result. Okay, so we have present karma, past karma, and now we're adding divine will or destiny into the mix. How do these 3 interact? It sounds complex.
It is, but they work together. Surrendering to God or divine will isn't just passive acceptance. It often involves accepting the responsibility to act according to God's will or dharma in your situation.
Like Arjuna surrendering meant picking up his bow, not dropping it.
Yes. Compare that to Draupadi's surrender in the court that came when she literally had no other action left to take. Arjuna's was an act of surrender to action.
So surrender isn't laziness or avoiding responsibility?
Not at all. The expert shared that line from a senior devotee. Depend on Krishna, but only after you have prepared your class. Do your part diligently.
Us. I like that. It's practical.
Even Hanuman, searching for Sita in the Ramayana, that was intense effort, determination. That was his way of serving, surrendering through action.
But knowing when to accept passively and when to fight actively, that requires wisdom, discernment.
Viveka.
Right.
Absolutely crucial. And a key aspect of that discernment is focusing on, what is my dharma now? What's my duty, my right action in this situation?
Rather than getting stuck on what is their karma when you see someone suffering.
Exactly. Focusing too much on others' potential past karma can lead to indifference, even heartlessness. If a baby is crying, your dharma isn't to speculate about its past lives, it's to comfort the baby.
That football coach example he mentioned really drives that home, attributing a disability to past karma.
It's inappropriate and unhelpful, blaming victims for their suffering based on karmic speculation. That misses the point entirely. The focus should be, how can I help? What is my responsibility here?
Right, be dharma conscious for yourself, not karma conscious about others in a judgmental way.
That sums it up well.
Okay, another tough question often comes up. Why do bad things happen to good people? Specifically, why do devotees, people trying to follow a spiritual path, sometimes face immense hardship? Sudama is the classic example.
It's a profound mystery. The source material touches on three possibilities regarding God and suffering. God is the cause, testing, karma. God is the cure, eventual relief, or God is comfort during the suffering.
Understanding the why can be really difficult.
Extremely difficult. The scriptures themselves say people get confused by conflicting explanations, Bhagavad Vimohita. Even great figures like Sita or Arjuna suffered intensely.
So the path of devotion isn't a promise of an easy life.
No, it's not a promise of a stormless sea, but perhaps an unsinkable ship, a way through the storms. The core message is often put as, whatever karma may get us to, Krishna will get us through.
That connection provides the strength. Which brings us to spiritual practice, sadhana. Why is that necessary? Why the focused effort, the rituals?
Well, the main point isn't just about solving problems, though that can happen. The deeper purpose of sadhana, of practice, is to draw us closer to God.
To shift our focus.
Exactly. When our connection with the divine becomes stronger, our relationship deepens, then the worldly problems, they start to seem smaller, less overwhelming in comparison.
So it changes our perspective on the problems themselves.
Yes. Think about the stages of approaching God. The Gita mentions people coming due to distress, desire for wealth, curiosity, or seeking knowledge.
So different motivations.
Right. It might start with fear or desire a transactional relationship almost. I do this puja, you give me that result. Then it might mature into a sense of duty. But the highest stage is pure love, bhakti.
From seeing God as a shock absorber or problem solver to
seeing God as the goal itself. From seeking the blessings to seeking the giver of blessings. That ultimate realization, Vasudeva Sarvameti, God is everything.
Bhakti Packer's levels, fear, desire, duty, love, capture that progression.
They do. And most of us, let's be honest, often operate on those initial levels, like that digestive system analogy.
Yeah, God provides constantly, like our body functions, but we only notice when something goes wrong.
We tend to take and forget. God gives and forgives. Bhakti love transcends that. It's not about what I get, it's about pleasing the beloved. So when suffering comes,
the focus isn't why me, but how can this bring me closer to God?
In a sense, yes. How can I navigate this with God? The purpose of suffering, from this view, might ultimately be to turn us back towards the divine source.
When Arjuna asked Krishna who is most dear to him, what did Krishna say about these different types of devotees?
Interestingly, Krishna says, Udara Sarva Evete. All of these are noble souls, even those coming out of distress or desire.
Really? Why noble?
Ramanujacharya's commentary suggests it's because God wants us to turn to him for any reason. God is thirsty for that connection. So any approach is welcomed, is considered noble because it begins that relationship.
Like the parent happy to see the child run to them, even if only because they're in trouble.
Exactly. Or that less than romantic proposal example. Maybe it's practical, not pure love, but it's still a commitment. Start. God's love is unconditional, even if ours is still developing.
So it's about whether God is our last alternative or our first priority, moving towards the center of that circle of love.
Beautifully put. It's the journey of bhakti.
And finally, that concept of oneness, becoming one with God. What does that mean in this context?
It's generally understood not as losing our individual existence, because love requires two, the lover and the beloved. If we merge completely, how can there be a relationship?
Okay, so not dissolving into nothingness.
No. It's more about oneness in desire, oneness in will.
Yeah.
Like that loving couple saying, we are one. Their hearts, their intentions are aligned.
And the ultimate example in the Gita
is Arjuna's final statement. Karishi vachanam tava. I will do your word. His will becomes completely aligned with Krishna's will. That's the perfection of oneness, a harmony of purpose and love.
Wow. That brings it all together.
It really does.
This has been incredibly insightful. Thank you so much for walking us through this deep dive into karma and the Gita's perspective. Really appreciate you sharing these insights from Chaitanya Charan.
Oh, the pleasure was all mine. It's a profound topic.
Absolutely. And for you listening, I hope you found that useful. Some key things standing out seem to be, that balance between effort and acceptance.
Understanding how past actions might subtly influence the present.
The real power of living with purpose, even in small ways.
And realizing that our relationship with the divine can grow and deepen through different stages.
It's amazing how these ancient ideas still feel so relevant, so practical for navigating life today, isn't it?
They truly offer a timeless framework for understanding ourselves and the world.
So as you go about your day, maybe reflect on which part of this discussion on karma resonated most with you. How may you apply some of these ideas?
Yeah, what feels relevant to your own situation?
And here's a final thought to maybe chew on. How does this deeper understanding of karma potentially shift how you view the challenges you're facing right now, or maybe the opportunities that are opening up?